Hello, this is Professor Mo. I'm going to create a solid model for chapter 5 and also mechanical drawing. Okay, this will be a good example of how to start a solid model with a number of steps or extrudes, and then we're going to create a mechanical drawing. Okay, all right, let's start. We're going to start with new, and we're going to call it chapter 5 to tutorial 1. Okay, so you just put the file name in there, and now you have the three planes of projection. If you want the name tag to be displayed, all you have to do is click on view, and then you click on this tab here and plane tag display. All right, you click on it and you can see the name for the plane. So front datum plane and top datum plane. And if you move the cursor close to it, it will highlight the top datum plane and the right datum plane. Also, if you go to model tree, if you click on top, it's going to select the top datum plane with a green. And if you click on front, it's going to jump to front and the right. Okay, these are the good things to know. So you can either on a drawing, you can click on the planes, or you can go to the model tree. Okay, for simplicity or for clarity, I'm going to close the model tree, and now I'm going to create. Okay, every time you select, if you don't want to pick that plane, make sure you, with a left click on your mouse, you just click somewhere here to deselect a plane that you just, by mistake, maybe you just clicked on it. Okay, so you don't want to select the plane before you make a decision that for your design or for solid model, which plane should be selected, or we call it the base feature, or selecting a sketching plane, like a front datum plane as a sketching plane, or for creating the base feature. So we're going to go to model here, and then we click on extrude, and then we click on placement, define, and then you see this menu here. So the first box means you have to indicate the sketching plane. So I'm going to click on front datum plane, because under the that's what the solid model that I'm going to create. The front datum plane will be a best plane to select for our purpose here. Okay, so I'm going to go click with the left mouse, just select the front datum plane. It says the sketching plane is the front, and do not worry about this, and the reference and orientation is selected by default. Okay, right. So then you click on a sketch, and then you come back to this area here. Okay, these are the important tabs that you're going to use them. Okay, all right, so you're going to go sketch. When you click on the sketch view, it's going to convert the 3D orientation to 2D. Okay, you can see that now is a 2D. You never click on this tab. Okay, do not click on this tab to change anything. Just leave it as it is by default. Okay, do not change anything here. And we don't want to use grid. Okay, at this level of design, or using the Creo-parametric, it's not a good idea to use grid display. Okay, not a good idea. So we're gonna just turn off temporary, or remove, or hide, or deselect and the display. Okay, access display, point display, coordinate system, plane display. So we're gonna just say click on the first tab. Our box is gonna remove all of them. Okay, all right. So next, I'm going to put the center line on the y-axis. Okay, if you look at the blue dash line, that's just a reference line and is not really the actual line. It's just a reference dash line. But when you put a center line, that will help you to use symmetric. Okay, if you want to create a rectangle symmetrical with respect to y-axis, you do that. I mean, if you wanted to put the center line on also x-axis, no problem. Still, you see that the x is attached to the cursor. That means this command that you have invoked is still active. It's still active. So if you wanted to terminate that command, we just click on middle or the wheel button on the mouse, so the middle. All right. So and now we remove. We just say we're trying to go to the next step so that we just terminate that command called center lines. All right. So at this point, we have two symbol here called collinear lines, collinear line. Because when you put a line on top of another, or center line or solid line, when you just put it on top of another line, we call it collinear. So because the center line was positioned on top of the reference datum line, or reference line, not the datum, reference line, and that center line is also called construction center line. Okay, all right, so nicely done. Remember on the if you're starting on Creo-parametric or SolidWorks, you need to become familiar with the three buttons on the mouse that you're using. Try to always have the mouse that is smooth and it's efficient and it doesn't jump the cursor uh, like it's sensitive that is going to jump everywhere. Okay, like that. We don't want that because that causes problem because you have no control over the mouse or the cursor. Okay, that's your cursor. You can just move them around, and by just holding the mouse and then press you don't even press a left mouse button or right mouse button or the middle. So we have three buttons that are very important in creating solid models and Creo-parametric, which I'm using 6.0. This is the up-to-date software called Creo-parametric that used to be called Pro Engineers. So fantastic. Let's do this. The left mouse button you select and place, right click. Okay, right click. When you do that, it opens a menu that you have the delete, cut, and also references, because at this point we don't need the references. There's a bunch of command in here or constraint. We have a constraint in here such as vertical line. If you hover over the over the tab, it will tell you what that is. Okay, that's a vertical. Here is written. For example, if there is a maybe a tab that you don't know what that is, like for example this one, you see that this is display style. It says saved orientation. It says repaint. It says zoom out, zoom in, and this is refit. And then we have a sketch view and we have date on display filters. And this is the spin centers, which is, it's good to have that, to have a more control over your cursor if you have that. And then annotation display, we don't need to worry about that at this point. Perspective view, no need. Clip model, you don't use that at this point. Okay, all right, so there are a lot of menus in here. This is the editing menu. This is the constraint, which I highly recommend to become familiar with this constraint part of this Creo-parametric commands or icons that you see and hear all over. Don't be overwhelmed by the amount of commands that you see in here. As you become more familiar with this software, and then there should be a need, if there is a need for certain command to you, so you see that will be more apparent and clear to you that, oh, I need to use, for example, if I need to put a fillet radius, I need to use offset. Okay, I need to put center line. Or here, delete. I want to delete segment. I want to mirror. I want to, have in terms of dimension. I want a dimension. This is the tab that you can, or a command that you will be using frequently. Okay, frequently. And in the area of constraint, you will be using symmetric command or symmetric constraint as a constraint, tangent and equal frequently. Okay, And vertical, horizontal, remember if your line, if you create a line that is not vertical, if I go to line, see that if it's not vertical, and then press on middle click to terminate that command, if I select this and say vertical, see that? Uh, oh, because it's just constrained to other lines, so it doesn't change. So I don't think that's a good idea. Okay, all right. So I'm going to create a rectangle in here, and that rectangle I made it symmetrical. See that that's a symmetric symbol with respect to y-axis, and I position the base of the rectangle on the x-axis. So this is double click on here. We have the diameter of the circle, or the width of this rectangle, is 16, and then the height is going to be uh, 12. Okay, 12. All right. So now that you see we made the rectangle with the dimension 16 by 12, and you can just, with the left mouse, you can just select, okay, left mouse, you select, and you drag the dimension. You don't want your dimension to be all the way there, and you don't want the dimension to be under view. So that's where the position of the dimension should be, okay? With the wheel, the middle click, or the wheel, you can just with your finger, you're going to just push it forward, zoom in, and zoom, and then backward you can zoom out. If you hold the shift and middle click, you can relocate your sketch to different places, and that's a good feature. Okay, simultaneously you can hold the shift button on your keyboard and middle click on your mouse, and you just pick. See that I'm gonna pick maybe somewhere here, so I'm gonna go hold the shift, and then here, see that it will tell me this is like a vector quantity. What vector quantity has a magnitude and direction. Okay, that's what we have. So that's good to know. And then if you hold control and middle click, you can quickly zoom in and out. Okay, see that quickly you can zoom in and out. So that's a good feature to know, and good things that you can always put your left hand on the keyboard and the right hand on the mouse, and all the other stuff in front of you, just push them aside so you have an nice, comfortable environment. Because I've been teaching this course for many years, for at least 25 years. And I see that the students that are nervous or is stressing out, what they do is they put all their stuff in front of them. They're holding their book, and then they are just, and they have a limitation for the movement of the cursor, or the mouse, not the mouse, and also putting their hand on the keyboard. So try to have a comfortable environment to be able to do your work. So next, I'm going to create either semicircle or just an arc or a circle. I'm going to just use arc, okay? So I'm going to start from here and then just move them along here. So then just you move it up until you have you don't want, you see that? You want the center point. See that the center point is moving up, correct? To coincide with that horizontal line. So that means you have the tangent, you have symmetric, and that's what we want. We don't want perpendicular symbol, okay? We don't want perpendicular. So then I'm going to delete this line and that line. Automatically, when we do that, and the radius, because every time you have a circle that is less than 360 degrees, you have to indicate that by radius. See, that's a blue dimension. That means a weak dimension. How can I convert that to a strong dimension? Like this one is a strong dimension. Just pick the dimension or select the dimension, and then with the left mouse select this arc, and then with middle mouse button to position it, you can see that it's r equals 8. Okay, the radius is 8. And this is very important. The curve is tangent to this line. That's the point of tangency here. That's a tangent symbol. Every time you see that, if your command is still active, try to click on middle click so that you refresh what you have done. You have invoked a command, and then you have to terminate that command. So constraint tangent, Beautiful. Now this is the first part, and then I'm going to put a circle in here, and that circle is going to be. Um, this is taking a little bit long because I'm trying to explain it. Otherwise, I could go really fast, which is not that. My objective is to teach you how to, use the, the technique or the technique of creating a solid models. Okay, all right. So this sketch is almost done. The first is the base feature, and the diameter of that hole is 4, and the radius of the arc is 8, and this is 12. So, and now I'm going to click on OK, and we're going to give it a depth of, I believe is going to be, let's see, 8 or 10. Let me see what that thickness is. I'm going to go check. And then in here, I'm going to, for time being, I'm going to say 8, okay? So that is the thickness of this base feature. If later on, so the working directory, and this is tangent edges. So the first one, I believe it says 8, okay? So the extrude amount is 8 units, okay? 8 units. So there we go. And then we are happy with this, and we can say that this is okay. And if you turn the plane on, the front plane, say the front datum plane is where we started, and then we extrude it that way. Now, if we, to go to the next feature, you go extrude, and then you go placement define, and then you just click on use previous. That means we use the front datum plane. That's all you have to do, use previous, and then you say sketch view, turn off the plane, and then if you want to just turn off the shade, if you want, you can just go here, we say no hidden, and then you need to put the say if I create a rectangle in here, it's going to snap, okay, no problem, it's snapping to that. Otherwise, you have to put the reference line in here, okay? So it's going, let me just do this. This here, this is reference, or you just right click and you say reference and click on this edge and this edge, and then you say solve, close, and then we're gonna create a rectangle, and then just drag it, just leave it there with the middle mouse button to terminate the command, and then you give it a dimension of 6. So now that we have that, hold the middle click and you just move this around, and you see that you establish that second feature on that plane. We call it the front datum plane on the back. So by doing that, and now that we have created that, we're gonna give we're gonna go back to the shade. All right. So hold the middle click on your mouse, and you can rotate them to see where you're at, so to ensure that everything is going according to plan. So this is what we have, and then we say check, and now we're going to give it a depth of 14. Okay, the amount of extrude is 14. All right, so that's good. And then middle click, or if you want to go back, okay, if you wanted to edit any feature, any part of this solid model, you just say extrude number 2, and then you click on it, and you see edit definition. And then if you wanted to change the depth, you can do that. But if it's a 14, you leave it as 14. So I'm happy. But if you wanted to go back to the original sketch, you go placement, edit, and then go back to edit sketch. See that here? All right, everything is good to go. And then we have check, and then we say check. Okay, all right. So now that we have this two extrude, okay, extrude number 1, extrude number 2, what I would like to do is this, in order to establish or build the third feature, we need to place a additional datum plane. We call it we call that DTM1, or auxiliary datum plane. So I'm going to click on datum plane. This is a datum axis, datum plane. So we click on that, and we click on the surface. Let me just do that again. So you can see that I positioned that plane on this surface here. So since I wanted to push this plane 2 units in the opposite direction of the arrow on this menu here, I'm going to put I'm going to enter -2. So it's going to push the plane and that auxiliary datum plane 2 unit in the opposite direction of the arrow. Okay, so everything is good to go. Then I'm gonna say I'm happy. So now that the DTM1 is active, see it, it's green, is active. All I have to do is say click on extrude, so I don't have to go through the step placement, define, and then enter, click on the plane. So if the plane DTM1 is green, no problem. Just say extrude and then go to sketch view. It's just like that, and then you turn off the plane, and now we have okay, we have that. If it's not clear with the shade, you can just change it to no shade. And then I'm going to go with the references. We click on this line, click on this line, click on that line. Everything is good to go. Solve, close. And now I'm going to click on the line. I'm going to start from somewhere here. And that is 20, I believe that is 25. Okay, 25. And then this offset is going to be 2 units, or margin of this with respect to this edge is 2 units. You go in, that line is start from this line here, this edge of this second feature that we established or we created. And now we can go to the left. Okay, we go say 4 units. Okay, 4 units. Then we go up about 21. Okay, a straight line. Okay, 21. You just push the dimension to the side, so that's 21. And then I have, this is also equal. See that? That is equal to this. So just you can see that the equal constraint is going to pop up. Okay, see that here? And then you can come down. It says equal, yes. And then this is equal. And then we go straight up. And then we close the loop. Okay, all right. So now when you see the pink shade, that means your sketch is complete. And you can now extrude. Okay, so let me just go back to the shade, and this is all done. Now we're going to reverse the arrow, and we want to give a distance of or the thickness of 10. Okay, 10. Now the 2 legs, you can see that is positioned exactly on the center of this bottom base. Okay, bottom surface here, which we call it the base of this solid model. And you can see that there is a margin of 2, margin of 2, margin of 2 in each side. So this is our objective, is to make sure that, to ensure that this feature, the third feature, will sit exactly in the middle. So, and then the total measurement from this edge to here is 14. So 2 plus 10 is 12, 12 plus 2 is 14. So you have to always think about the math, so that the mathematics is a precise, and we don't want it to just make up things. Okay, so that is acceptable, and we have that. Okay, so this is the third extrude. If you go to the model tree, you see extrude 1, extrude 2, DTM1, because I turn off the plane so it doesn't show. So extrude 3. Now I wanted to poke a hole through this surface. All I have to do is say extrude, click on this surface, and then sketch view. And let me turn off the shade. And now on this area, I'm going to create a circle and just try to stay away from that line. Okay, just drop it anywhere. And then you take you select the dimension, you go from the center and then to the base, and that should give you 19. Let me just maybe mention, if you are new to this, in order to dimension this, with the left mouse, I have selected the center and the base. With a middle click, I position the dimension. Okay, that's how you do it. Then if you want to see, middle click a couple of times so that you can get rid of the command that you have invoked. So this is the diameter. That diameter should be 2. Okay, diameter of 2, and this distance from the center to this edge is 5. And we know for sure that this is 10. This is the measurement of 10. So this is then exactly is in the midpoint of this line here. If I draw a center line, the center line goes through the center of this hole, okay, that hole. So we have 5, we have the diameter of 2, and then we have a distance of 19. These measurements, x and y dimensions will define the dead center of this hole. And the symbol phi is a Greek symbol called diameter, represented or denoted for diameter. R means radius, so that's a diameter of 2. So now that I have that, let me just go back to the shade. So that circle is positioned on that surface. And when we say Creo-parametric, means to create the solid models, we have to start from a sketch. So that's a sketch. And parametric means dimension. It's based on dimension control. Dimension is the key. So when you give proper dimension for your design, then you know that in a machine shop, and the machinists know exactly where to drill a hole so the dead center will be there. So it goes 5 and 19 from the base to here. Then it says, oh, that's the location of the center of the hole. And what size of the hole? We say 2, whether 2 inches or 2 millimeters. At this point, we're not interested to just say millimeters or inches, but you can. I think by default, Creo-parametric, it says we have the measurements are all in inches, okay? All inches. So these are the actual measurement that will be used in the shop to make or build or create the solid model, whether you use the 3D printers or you use the machine shop. Someone in the shop will just create this, and you have to select the materials like aluminum or wood or plastics such as polycarbonates or acrylics. It depends on where this will be used. For time being, we're just creating a solid model that we're trying to learn how to use Creo-parametric commands to build the solid models. Okay, exactly. Now that we have established that the hole, I'm going to click on check. When you click on check, you can see that the extrusion is in this direction, correct? All right, so let me just go back to that. Okay, all right, so undo. So if you click on this, and you can just, that's like a cylinder, correct? Let me just move it a little bit to the right. So you can see that that's cylinder. But I'm not interested on that cylinder. I want to poke a hole through the entire surfaces. It has to go through this surface, that surface, and come out of this end, okay? So what we do is we click on the arrow. So we reverse the arrow. So it pokes a hole, and you can see that I can just extend it to infinity, but no need to do that. All you have to go to the depth. You say, I want this to be extrude up to the next surface, okay? This is very important. Extrude, or you can say extrude to intersect with all surfaces, okay? Extrude to intersect with all surfaces. Just click on that. This will disappear, okay? See that? You click on that, and then there we go. That means the hole is just, it just went through it and it stopped at that surface. So, and now I'm going to say check. All right, so everything is good to go. That's our solid model. And if you wanted to check the orientation, save the orientation, we say, I want to look at the front view. That's a front view. And I want to look at the top, and that's a top view. And this is the right side view. Okay, all right. So if I wanted to use the color or appearances, I can use, for example, red to show that this is, and you hold the control down to select multi-surfaces, okay? So we say that's red, and then if I wanted to look at blue, maybe the right side view, I'm going to just use that, okay? And if I wanted to look from the top view, I'll say green, so that, and control here, and that's green, okay? So that's my complete solid model, and we're going to save it. For example, I'm going to save that and say File, Save As. If you have a flash drive, you have to save it on your flash drive, and that's how it works, okay? Mine, since I just don't need to save it on a flash drive, I'm going to just save this on my desktop, and that is, and then my name and so on. So, and save, and then we have the file name already defined, chapter 5 tutorial 1. I'm going to say okay. Oh, what happened? Because I cannot say save as, because I've already given the file name. If I needed to change the file name, then we say save as. Otherwise, we're going to go save, okay? We're going to go save, and it said, is this the file name? And you wanted to place it here. You say yes. Okay. So I saved that. Now that I have this solid model, I'm going to create a mechanical drawing. Okay, so let me just go to File, New. Okay, I'm going to go to New, and I'm going to click on the drawing, and this is CH Chapter 5 dash Tutorial 1, and I'm going to say OK. And then we go to Empty with Format, and then Browse, and click on A size paper. We say OK. Now we have uh, a 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. I'm going to go to General View, and then say No Combined State. OK. Click on here and say Front, and then select with left mouse and say Projection. Okay, that's a select and say Projection View, and that's the right side view. And then we go to General View, and then we can come here and say that's an isometric. Okay, not trimetric. We're going to say, because trimetric is tilted more, and then isometric is more organized. Okay, see that? More organized. So that's a front view, that's a side view, that's a top view. Now the views are locked by default. I'm going to select the main view, which is the front view, and then right click, and I need to unlock it. So when you unlock this, you can move your views, or you can move this to the corner, upper right hand corner. Okay, now we don't want the shade. We double click in here, we go to view display, and then we click on follow environment, and always pick hidden. Okay, because we want to show the hidden features. Okay, for the features that are hidden, like a circle in one view will be hidden line on the opposite or on the right side view. If this hole is circled, you see it on here, it's not visible, so we call it hidden. And make sure the tangent edges display should be none. Okay, in most cases we say none, and then don't worry about anything else here. You say okay. So now we have that. Double click on here, repeat the same thing, follow environment, hidden, and then click on the none. Okay, tangent edges display none. Okay, beautiful. So now that we have the two views, we call it orthographic projection or 2D drawing. That's a drawing. Next, I'm going to put a center line in here. I'm going to go to Annotate, and then Show Model Annotation. Click on this symbol here, far right, which is the Show the Model Datum. And then click inside the box. Okay, just zoom it inside the box. I have the center line here, Apply. And do the same thing for this one. We say 1, 2, apply. And now that I have my hidden line and solid lines, these are the solid line, this is the hidden line, that's center line. You might say, well, I don't see this hidden line. It's because it's so tiny, it's not easy to see it. So if I go to maybe go to File, Print Preview, okay, print say print preview, and you can see that that's a blueprint, right? That's a blue color. That's a hidden line for the hole that is drilled all the way through, and that's the center line, and that's the center line for the circle. And if you wanted to show that this is a concentric type of circle with the arc, so we have to expand this center line to, that's a ANSI standard, American National Standard Institute dictates how to how to go about to create a 2D mechanical drawing. So let me just get out of the close. I don't want to print, okay? I just wanted to show you what's going on. So if I wanted to just expand this center line, just click on the center, and then I'm going to just let me see, just expand it. So that's good enough. So there we go. So I have the center line now expanded, because normally it says by rules the says the center line for the circle or semicircle, it should extend about 1/4 of an inch beyond the object line, okay, on each direction. So that's good. So now that we have center line, we're going to give dimension, okay? We have to give dimension, and that is we go to Annotate, we can either do the manual dimensioning, or we have already given the dimension. So all I have to do is go to show models, go to automatic dimensioning, click on this here, and then click on this surface. I say, okay, I 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, I'm happy, and then apply. Then click on here, we say, okay, I'm happy, and then apply. I want to click on this one. I say, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm happy. Now I'm going to just do a little bit of cosmetic work, okay? Cosmetic work. So remember, we gave the dimension of 25 here, and this was the diameter for the hole was, you just move them a little bit around. And for time being, this 2, I'm going to get rid of that, okay? I'm going to get rid of that for time being because it's interfering with many things here. So I'm going to click on the dimension, make sure that the leader line, that's a leader line, is going to be radial with respect to the center line. So if you move this, if you draw a line all the way, it should pass through the center. Approximately, the leader line should be about 45-degree angle with respect to horizontal line. So that's a radius of 8. And this is also the diameter of 4. For circle is always diameter. For half a circle is radius. If you don't want the arrow in, you just click on this here, flip arrow. So that's better. It looks nicer. Okay. All right. So you see this dimension, they're overlapping. So what I will do is I'm going to say maybe move this to this side here, and that's 6, because you don't want the dimension to overlap. So you go here. But by doing this, you got to be careful because you don't want the extension line to cover cover or be collinear with the object line. So you pull it out, okay? So you click, see that there's a little circle, you can pull it out. So rule of thumb said that, or the rule said, and the extension line and that you use for dimensioning features on the solid models, it has to have a gap between the object line and the extension line, should be about 1/8 of an inch, okay? 1/8 of an inch. And if I click on it, I can pull it a little bit closer. So this is 6.00, which we have already given that dimension. Remember the second feature we created. So it seems like what we have is correct. So there's a 1, 2, 3 location. They have the same measurement as a 4. If you wanted to say 3 places, I can just click on this here and go to dimension text, and then I'm going to type, maybe I'm going to come here and then say return, and then I say 4 PLCS, 4 places. Okay, you can see that it's going to appear in here. What is saying that you have, if I'm sorry, this is not correct. It should be 3 places. Okay, so I'm going to say 3 places. Okay, 3 PLCS, 3 places, and that's good because it's a 1, 2, 3. So I was wrong with 4. Okay, 4. Now, if you want, and we're done with this one, okay? Then there is one more dimension in here. I can go, because it's a 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember that edge that we gave a plane, that 2 unit and into the face opposite of this face, just going in. So that's a 2 units. I can use the manual dimensioning, for example, if you want. Just click on this line, then hold the control and click on this line here. You can see that that's a 2 units, that with a middle click to position it. Okay, so let me cancel that. So I just used manual dimensioning to do that. And then if I wanted to go back to automatic dimensioning, I can click on that, and then remember, by clicking on the circle, all the measurement I gave during the sketch, and it popped up. Okay, it popped or appeared in here. So I'm going to do a little bit of cosmetic work because it's overlapping. I don't like that, and then I'm going to just reverse the arrow. Okay, or flip arrow. This is 19. Just bring it a little bit closer. That's good. And this is a little bit, maybe I'm going to go to, that's good enough right there. Okay, but then I have to just click on this and bring this down, and then maybe bring this a little bit down. and then click on the here. I'm going to bring this down so it doesn't overlap. So there's a little bit of gap so we know where it's coming from. And then if I wanted to dimension here quickly, I can have that dimension here, 8. If I wanted to dimension from here, all the control shift on the keyboard, and I can say that's 14 with a middle click to position it. And everything is good to go. I think there's one more dimension that I see here. It's supposed to be this one here, okay? So I'm gonna say click on that, and that's a 10, and we are all done now. Okay, so everything is good to go. Let me just move this a little bit here if I want to get a little bit closer. All right, so that's good. And that is our dimension. And then if you want it, all the dimensions are done, we want to put a note. So you put a note in here, say drawn by. Okay, you put a note in there. Okay, that's it. Okay, Mo. Okay, great. And that is what we have in here. And then we can go to note again. We say this is ANGE 151, and that is Mesa College. Okay, and then we go to this is, we can put another note in here. When you're done, just click somewhere outside so it will stop this. Okay, all right, so we have that. And if I wanted to add this title, the title for this, we call it the I don't know whether it's a bracket or we call it uh, um, chapter 5, whatever that is. We say tutorial 1. And then if I want to put a date, I'm going to put a date in here maybe. Okay, date, say today is April 14, so I'm going to go 4-14 2020. Okay, 2020. And if you wanted to add a scale, you can just say, I'm going to put a scale in here and a scale, and that is scale. And we're going to send scale 1 to 1. Okay. So we say 1 equal 1. So that is saying that all this measurement is actual measurement that if you're going to make this part. So this is the complete, complete work on mechanical drawing. If you wanted to move it a little bit to make it more organized, that's what we have in here. Okay, all right. So you have your information on the title block, and you are ready to maybe print, or you just save it. Or if I go to File, Print Preview, print preview, and that is our beautiful mechanical drawing. Everything is visible, is nicely done. The hidden line for the hole and the center line and the measurements are all clear. So this is called a standard mechanical drawing according to ANSI, American National Standard Institute, dictates the way we should uh, use mechanical, or we give mechanical dimensioning to a given part or the views. In this case, we always give the mechanical dimension or the dimensioning on 2D drawing. This is an orthographic multi-view projection or 2D drawing. This is an isometric. That's a common type of pictorial drawing that the engineer uses. We call it isometric solid models. Okay, all right. So I think I'm done, and good luck to you. And if you wanted to toggle back and forth between the let me just see, where is my okay, where is my solid models? Okay, so if I go to here, so you click on the tab for Creo-parametric. You can toggle back and forth between the solid model and the drawing. So this is just that because the mechanical drawing and solid models, they have a fixed relationship. So everything is about this. We started with a sketch. We created a sketch. From a sketch, we created this. We extruded that. We created a solid piece, And then from the solid model, we created a mechanical drawing. There we go. And good luck. And I think this will be a good reference or educational type of a lecture, or the videos that I'm recording. I think this will should help you to do more of these drawings in the future, and then for other assignments. Okay, you got the ideas. And I'm going to stop the videos right now. I'm getting to the end of this video, and good luck.